I'm showing a video on social work practice. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hello, Celia Latore. Hi, how are you doing? Come on in. I'm Melanie Patterson. I'm the social worker. Nice to meet you too. But before we even get started, I'm going to go over some confidentiality forms with you. This form right here just states that whatever we talk about stays between me and you. It will not leave this room, okay? If you want to read through before you sign, you can do that. Have any questions or anything about the form? No, I think I got it all. Okay. Thank you. Now, what brings you in today?
I was referred by our school. They're seeing a change in her, and I really don't know what's going on with her. She won't talk to me. I guess we just really need to just get some help as a family.
Okay, change. What type of change?
Decrease in her grades, her socialization skills they're not the same. She just won't talk to you anymore and tell us what's going on.
Okay. Give me a little family background history.
Well, my daughter, she's 14. I had a son named Angel. He's 21.
Okay.
Now, Angel, he is, he's special. You know, he just has some issues.
Special. What are you trying to say by special?
I mean, he's just, he's been in the hospital a few times, you know, he hallucinates, he will just disappear sometimes. He's just not happy.
Okay, so has he been diagnosed with anything?
Well,
It's okay. You can take your time. Take your time.
he's trying to escape the devil. And I don't understand what's going on in his mind.
So are these more like hallucinations?
Yes. It's just like he's fighting a war inside his head.
Has he been violent towards you, your daughter? What are some things that he has done?
I mean, he's just easily agitated. I mean, I can just say something one day and it just rubs him the wrong way, and he's just violent. All these things. He yells, he screams.
And what is that doing to you, seeing your son go through those type of behaviors and having that diagnosis?
It hurts because he's my son and I love him, but I can't do anything to help him. And I hate that he acts that way because it tears up the family.
Now, what about Mr. Latore? How does he feel about your son, Angel? How
How does he feel about you? He just isn't. I think he loves him. He's just so angry with him for treating us so badly.
Okay, so how is, tell me a little bit more about you and Mr. Torre.
Our marriage is, it's all hard. I'm just so focused on my kids and trying to get them out, let myself go. My marriage, my physical appearance. I just, everything is just so, it's just so bad right now.
I sense that you're very, sad about this situation and that you're upset in this. It just seems like it's just kind of breaking your heart a little bit about your son leaving the home, being gone for several months, and then your daughter.
Sometimes I don't even want to get out of bed. I just want to lay there. Just waste away.
So what is a typical day for you?
I get up. I get my daughter ready for school on the bus. I pack her lunch. And I get ready to go to work. At work, I come home. I clean. I cook. And then everybody goes to bed and I'm still up cleaning. And then I go to bed and it's just every day. I don't do anything for myself.
Like I said before, I know that you refer to school. And
I am just doing the Bluetooth.
But she is
That's
having
okay.
some-
It cuts out.
some problems there. What do you feel like she's going through? And what she needs?
I think maybe the kids are teasing her at school. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know what it is. I mean, she was so just a bright child. She just would light up any room. And it just changed. Everything just changed.
So you're saying that at first, she was just your typical young girl, teenager girl. She enjoyed life, good grades, and then all of a sudden it just
Changed.
changed. Around what time did you notice a change?
It was really, over the summer, right before she turned 14. I thought it was puberty. I don't know.
Was your son Angel at the home during that time?
Yes.
Was there an incident that maybe occurred that maybe kind of declined her behavior?
Yeah, it does.
She would talk to me. I don't know.
So I just want to make sure that I get all the facts. Did you say that Angel was there at the beginning of the time? So how was his behavior there over the summer?
I mean, it was just he was himself, the hallucinations, he's angry. He's an angry child. I mean, he's not a child anymore, he's an adult. He's 21, but
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
he loves his sister. I don't think he would ever do anything to hurt her intentionally.
Has he put his hands on her?
Oh, shit, yeah.
I mean, it was an incident where
Yep.
we were just trying to get him to calm down, and he did kind of push her down, and think she really hurt it was going to do something, but he did not mean it. He didn't do it.
But like after that year, after the summer,
Okay.
is that when she started having
Right.
problems?
You,
Can't fully empty your bladder because of a swollen prostate? Here's why you shouldn't try meds, surgery, or natural treatments. First
Right,
off,
yeah.
meds come with a list of side.
Yeah.
Have you talked to your daughter about how she feels about it? And what has she said?
you did make it sound like that, yes. Okay.
She loves her brother, but she doesn't really want him to be there with us anymore. She does love her brother. She's just, I think, afraid of it.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Okay. Right.
So, what do you feel like we need to do to
You can
help
sign
her
in.
get back on the right track? I know.
Yeah, what time do you have clients?
Dropping, she.
Just that.
You feel like she's getting picked on at school. And
That's good,
said
not
that
too many.
her husband,
What's that? I didn't hear what you said. It's still-
is really kind of done with Angel, and it's that
Yeah,
affecting your relationship.
I'll try to call you
with
after.
him.
Yes,
Because
because
we can talk about that.
I don't understand how he can be done with his child, you know? Yes, Angel has.
How you guys doing?
Angel. He's caused a lot of.
This is a role play that you'll do your junior and senior
I
year.
don't think he ever just give up on it.
It's cold out there, isn't it?
So, he just wants to give up on it. And I just can't do it. So it's causing some friction between the two of us.
Whew.
Well, this is the thing, I'm concerned that your son pushed your daughter down, and that did have some type of effect on her. And she needs, definitely some type of counseling to get through whatever issues are going on in your home. So that is a concern that I definitely have. And I feel like that you all definitely need some family counseling along with some individual counseling. And I just would like to talk to you about what are some goals that we can possibly, what kind of goals we can develop for y'all to work towards. And I'm ready to check
Hello,
out.
how are you guys? So, you're usually junior and senior year, you guys do an internship, like your practicum. You met with Nikita recently, right? She's the field director. So Nikita Jackson is our field director. Across the street at the counseling center is some of our field placements. So this is, if you choose to do counseling, that's what it would look like. Role play, like family counseling. And a lot of times in family counseling, you would do what's called a home visit, which a lot of folks get to see and hear during your internship. Like how many of you all want to get your master's? Everybody? Okay. That's good. Because you will get trained in clinical social work. They fight. One of the higher paying jobs is social work in healthcare systems. The next chapter is like family and community practice, but in the hospitals and in health systems and addiction recovery. So I throw that one out specifically because recently the state of Ohio got another $500 million to pay social workers in addiction recovery. So if that would be something you're willing to be trained in, it doesn't take much longer than your normal social work schooling and then internship. This is one you can do, but it's social work and public health. So the focus is primarily prevention. So a lot of times we would do prevention with teens and even younger kids. Also prevention of physical illness, behavioral health disorders, other health problems. Some of the research is seeing if you'll do it on assessment, see if they have a history of disease in their family or heart health or kidney or liver. Is there alcoholism in the family? Is there addiction? And then you look at the risk factors associated with those conditions and then collaborate interdisciplinary with interdisciplinary colleagues. So that could be doctors, that could be nurses, that could be whomever. These pay the most because, as I've mentioned, there's a lot of things to do in public health and prevention. So if you're in primary health care, it could be a community health center, you could be at a clinic, some medical practices. And your goal is to like reduce hospital readmission rates. So a lot of times when you're a hospital social worker, you try to set them up for, maybe it's the diet when they leave the hospital so they don't have quadruple bypass again. Maybe it's a way to quit smoking, like the proper medicine to quit smoking cigarettes, a pack a day. I smoked a pack a day for like 10 years. It's not easy to quit. It causes lots of health conditions later on. So if you are the hospital-based social worker working on that with them, that's one of the things you would work on. So the beginnings were like, they didn't have, I've described this a lot, that social work mostly, and I guess I'll ask you a question, where do you guys think social work started? Who were like the social workers in the early times, way back before the 1900s or the 1800s? Who do you think most of the social worker people were before social workers? Usually nuns, priests, like kind of the religious workers, because they had, the idea of care for the poor, care for the sick, visit the imprisoned. Like I think it's in the Beatitudes, if I remember correctly, somewhere in the Bible. So like they kind of practiced, like St. Francis during the 1200s, worked with leprosy. And even Jesus, I guess Jesus cured lepers. So it kind of came from that. Even back before Jesus' time, the Jews to 500 BC or 5000 BC and 6000 BC with the Hindus, they would care for the sick. So there were no social workers. And then when there was, with hospital social work, it began in Massachusetts General Hospital. So you're in Boston. Services were like admission, diagnosis, treatment, and discharge. Maybe you see that they're sick because their diet sucks. Maybe you see they're sick because they didn't get proper nutrition. Maybe they're smoking a pack a day. Maybe it is addiction recovery. Also, there are social workers in oncology. Anybody know what that word means, oncology? I had to look it up. It means cancer practice. So oncology is like the study of cancer. So oncologists help cure you of cancer if there is a cure. Maybe it is like diet. I've heard a lot of times people go to a vegan diet and lifestyle along with radiation and chemotherapy. So there's also long-term care services and supports. So there's home health care, there's adult daycare settings, nursing homes, hospice programs. That's actually where I work on the weekends. So I'm in hospice on the weekends. I'll visit the dying, often at end of life, because a lot of times if we know it's their last 24 to 48 hours, we'll make sure somebody's sitting with them 24 hours a day so you don't die alone. And communicate with the family and kind of, chart and document number of breaths per minute and as they kind of expire. So the social worker role here is to assess and resolve social, emotional issues to interfere. How do I get rid of this thing? Maybe if I enlarge it. Nope. Maybe. Okay. There we go. So issues that interfere with treatment. And it could be like the family grieving process. So a lot of times that's what hospice does get involved with. hospice social workers, setting up the funeral, setting up my brother-in-law's mom died last week, so she's getting cremated, which takes a little longer if you do cremation to make sure it's the right ashes and then the burial and things of that nature. So there's the definition. Social work in a hospice. It's comprehensive service for persons with end-stage terminal illnesses. The goal is to comfort, pain and control. There's interdisciplinary staff. So they've got doctors, nurses, case managers, social workers. There's Medicare regulations because a lot of it is funded through Medicare. And it requires a professional social worker. So you have to have your license. That is still the highest paid job I found out of. You do your 3.5-year bachelor's because you start in August and end in May. You do a 11-month master's, and they hired people fresh out. We have 2 with the 4+1 degree. What would you guys guess they make? How much do you think they make? Hospice social workers. They're a fresh. They're fresh MSW, LSW. What'd you ask? I'm sorry. Oh, like the average pay? I'd say it's like 35 to 45,000. Yeah, and it's crazy because a year and a half ago it was 50. That's when they hired me on. I'm part-time, so it would just be 25 an hour. Last year they raised it to 60, and then by the end of last year they got it to 68,000 a year, and they get 2% raises every year. So some of them are at 70,000 a year, and that's with a fresh MSW, LSW. So I was impressed. Like that means within like 4 years you could clear that, and without debt you could buy a house. You could buy, get a loan for a car, get a loan for a house. Like there still is a living wage in some jobs. A lot of jobs don't. Like you try to go, what is the minimum wage in your hometowns now? What do you get paid to do summer jobs? $8, $10, $12, $12.50 an hour. Last job.
In Michigan, it's 10, but most jobs don't really start at 10. I like 12.
What's the last pay you got at your last job you had?
14.
14? How about you? Okay. How about your last job? If you had one, of course. Okay. So that's $26,000 a year. Whenever you get your hourly pay, if you did 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, you double that. So if you said 14, that's $28,000 a year, or 15 is $30,000 a year. But a lot of times they don't have 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, right? Like you only get that. So, and you'll get benefits, you'll get retirement. What do they give here? I think here that I just found out last week they matched. I thought it was 5%. They match 25% of our contribution into retirement up to 5%. That kind of pissed me off because I had to do the math. That means they give about 1.25%, which is probably standard. So the fact that they're giving you any extra money towards retirement is nice. But like here we teach, they match 15% in STRS. So we get 15%, and I put in 15% of my check to get a what's called a pension. Most places give you 1.5% to 4.5% on your like retirement. So those are the jobs you would want to look into for full-time. Get your internship at these places. Those of you who show up will succeed. Like you got to show up in life. As much as it's like we think coronavirus made shit online, it's not the truth. I swear to you, like you have to show up. So if you show up to your practice, you talk to people at your job and listen enough, or talk to people at your internship, you will get a job at these places because they're hiring. And there's a lot of money out there. It's crazy. Like there's a lot of money for social workers and a lot of need. Another area you could work is social work with HIV and AIDS. It's still a public health issue. You don't hear about it as much. We used to hear about it a ton 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Like if you went to the STD clinic, that would be the first thing they tested you for. It says now more people can live with HIV. Like Magic Johnson's lived forever. I don't know how old that dude is now, but in the old days, you heard you got this and you're dead in 3 years. Now they have medication that can keep you alive. So as a social worker, maybe you're helping monitor meds, visit issues with people with the HIV and AIDS. There's stigma, there's living satisfactory in context of dying. Sometimes they might still be married or have a partner, so they've got to prevent spread of HIV or AIDS to them. There's a cumulative sense of loss, isolation, loneliness, planning for family and fictive kin. I don't know what fictive kin is. Have you guys ever heard of that? I have never in my life heard of fictive kin. Like I've heard of next of kin, like when you die and if you own a car, it goes to your next of kin, something like that. Or if you have a pension, I am going to search that.
Fictive kin relationship is one that a child has with an individual who is not related by birth, adoption, or marriage to a child, but who has an emotionally significant relationship with the child. Not legally recognizing these relationships
Harm the children involved in the child welfare system. Interesting. By like preventing them. So like if they can't go see them in the hospital, that would make sense. Okay. Planning for family and fictive kin. Like if they're dying and they're like, nah, dude, like during COVID, it happened a lot. They're like, you can't see him. We're back before gay marriage was legal. They'd be like, no, you can't come in and see your dying husband or spouse. Continuum of programs and services, primary care, hospital care, hospice, community education and prevention. We got Psalmist on here for at least a few minutes. She said, good morning. I guess you'll watch it later, right? Now disabilities. So that's another one I've shown before, but there's a lot of folks that live with disabilities. So the age of onset can be any freaking time. Like in the womb, you could have trisomy 21, that's Down syndrome. And at birth, you could get, I'm trying to think of the name of it. Do you guys know any relatives with disabilities or friends or family? Like 1 in 42 boys will be born with autism. That's a big disability nowadays. And 20 years ago, it was 1 in 1,000. Now it's 1 in 42. Since 86, when they changed the vaccine schedule, honestly, we got 1 in 42. So 1 out of every 42 male. That's like, 2.5 for every 100. And that's,
That's a lot.
yeah.
And it's like, it looks different. I'm not gonna say it didn't always look different, but like, I feel like not back in the day, please, but like everybody had what they thought autism looked like. But today, like, it can be different. More, not normal, but like.
Well, you can function. You can have Asperger's. Asperger's is like where you have autism and you're maybe afraid of social situations, but you can still go to school. You can still hold a job. You just might be kind of a loner and you don't want to deal in social situations. And then they have a full spectrum. So they have some where you're hitting your head all day long. So like, or like hugging yourself. There's like different things that you do to like calm yourself down, or like somebody needs, they call it like pressure. You put like a weighted blanket on them. So it says early onset results from genetics, exposure to teratogens. And that's kind of what I think it is like maybe also drugs and alcohol in the womb, other birth complications. Impairments could be physical functioning, learning, communication, or behavior. So they might not talk. Some challenges could include self-care, learning, mobility, communication, major life activities, and capacity for independent living. Oh, I showed the new house that they created in Cincinnati for LADD. It's Living Assistance for Developmentally Delayed. I have never seen that in my life. I wonder how that's working for them. Like, I wonder if I would have to search like challenges with independent living virtual homes. I'm sure there's something like, I don't know what they would be. Telemedicine video. Well, I mean, we had all of that happen during the pandemic. Virtual reality comes of age, senior living. Maybe I'd have to look for videos too. Really, if it's senior living, you get freaking lonely. Like you just like there's a lot of senior assisted suicides because they don't want to live as much. Well, this is the one that we watched. That's interesting because that's what I would think. It's only a few years old at this point. It's 3.5 years old. So I mean, I don't know what challenges there are. They could break the cameras, they could break the sensors. That could happen. But I guess here's another one of like just, yeah, if you have disabilities, if you can live with that. This is just like 2 minutes. So we'll see if that, hello.
Best Buddies Living is an inclusive living program for people with and without disabilities to live with one another, do social events together, and also work on those independent living skills.
I don't know what city this is.
We just create the scaffolding within Best Buddies Living to allow this natural relationship to form.
It may seem a bit weird, being away from home at first, but eventually after you settle in,
It's a
when you
nice
get
house.
used to living in your new area, specifically here at Europe, I think
It looks like
enjoy it.
Chicago. Is that Chicago?
The fact that it's a great place to live, and
Yeah.
the fact that it's in a safe neighborhood is really, really great.
Maybe
Creating a program that really
Washington,
has
D.C.
everything narrowed down, where it's kind of like a
And
seamless
Georgetown.
transition, I think is super important. I sleep, I study, I hang out.
Everything that Best Buddies does, it's just the highest caliber, highest quality. If parents could come and see it and see how it works, I think it would take away a lot of their fears. And the amount of support is unbelievable.
The university is in partnership with the new Best Buddies Living program. So Vince is a support staff, and so I think those are all the behind the scenes things.
What's that? Oh. What's the question? You got to sign in and get out?
Sean, can I see the phone charger?
Here's a phone charger.
I can see it. I don't think my phone.
So this is also a good one if you haven't turned in the diversity paper. Like Best Buddies is disabilities is something that you can be discriminated against for. So like it happens often. You got to make sure it's plugged in because it's wonky. See how it has that jacked up? There you go. Hell, we could play your music now. Ready? So that's one example of the independent living. I wanted to see if there's more. The virtual, all this virtual stuff. So they're kind of making it so that robots take care of people with disabilities. Is kind of cool, but it's also kind of sad. Like it's getting rid of the physical touch, the human touch, like getting rid of social workers too. It's like, hey, here, we'll have a robot make sure you don't burn down the house and cook for you and remind you to buy food out of your fridge when it's empty because there's a camera in your fridge, or open the door with facial recognition, or track you with a tracking device if you get lost in your community. So those are some of I've never heard of this one either. So do you guys remember ever who Helen Keller was? I think she was like retarded, blind, and deaf in like the 1800s. It's playing. It's doing Siri for you. Did it think I said, hey Siri? Oh, that one thought I said, hey Siri. So there's different technologies coming out. Again, the is out. Like, you could live on your own apartment. In the past, like, parents had to take care of them for a while. I wonder what that is. I guess they help them make grilled cheese or sweeping. Interesting. Or if they train them, how to do the boiling water. So there's a lot of different things to try to get folks with independent living. Those are the jobs that are hiring around here, like $14 or $15 an hour. Have you guys heard of that? Like, these things are doing often, I forget what they call it. It's like being an assistant, if that's even the proper term. So like being an assistant, there's a lot of need in Dayton and Xenia area. And like, one of the students in my afternoon class said their boss, even without a car, comes and picks them up, drives them there, and drops them off, which I was shocked by. I'm like, that's impressive. So those are some of the disability things that come up. Lots of jobs for that. But autism was 1 in 1,000 boys. Now it's 1 in every 42 boys is diagnosed with autism. It just seems to be getting higher and higher. So there are some federal laws, like in the 60s and 70s, they pushed education, employment, housing. Now they have the Americans with Disabilities Act. I was actually covered under that with dyslexia or with ADHD. If you get an IEP or a 504 plan, it could get you extra time on the test. Like, if you guys ever had any thought that you have dyslexia or something of that nature, it doesn't hurt to get the diagnosis and get time and a half on the test, because I got that on my social work licensure exam. It helped a ton. I still finished in 4 hours, but they gave me 6 if I needed to take the test for 6 hours. Can you imagine taking a test for 6 hours, though? How long do they give you for the SAT? Was that like 3 hours or ACT or whatever it is? Like, do you get snacks? I can't even remember anymore. It's been that long. They're moving so our social work test can be taken at home. Like, they just kind of monitor you on whatever their camera is, and then you could take it in the comfort of your own house and have like food, snacks, whatever. So that's one change that's coming to our test. So another thing is, you get free education through the age of 21, and that includes the 365 days of age 21. So you could get an IEP until you're 21 years and 364 days old. And that could be part of college. So lots of legislation was passed with that. There's community-based services for adults with a history of developmental disabilities. There's also a new comedy that came out, and I don't know how to feel about it. I want to show you guys this. Have you heard of Lady Ballers? It says that it's a triggering comedy. Are you willing to watch this? It's like 2 minutes for like the trailer. Anybody heard of this? What do you think it would be about? I guess it's the verdict is out, so it's a very hot button issue.
Where women's sport is being transformed. The Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year.
Guys, this is serious. Sports can be your pathway to a better life.
Well, like yours.
Please don't steal my catalytic converter again. Winning matters. It's the key ingredient to becoming a winner.
Maybe try it sometime.
Are you doing it? I am not.
Let's
Touch your face. I know you're not a woman.
You know how he identifies.
If you can beat them,
What do you know about the US Open for the Global Games?
You want us to compete as women. $5,000 prizes.
My lover says you were a great coach back in the day.
join
This is the way the world is now. My 8-year-old daughter told me all about it. So a guy can become a girl with no physical changes at all.
That's called gender fluid.
So I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bedroom. I can't believe it. Nice.
You mean when you're sleeping?
Yes. Coach, Alex, we could play basketball.
We have to get the whole team back together. It's time
We're in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
to play.
Lady ball. Man up.
Like a girl.
That's right. I'm with her.
Heroes.
Day one of being a girl athlete. I love being a girl.
To heroes.
We can dominate every woman's sport. Running, swimming, soccer. I said sport, Felix. It's ladies basketball, boys. Nobody watches. Excuse me. Are these seats open? Never mind.
Here it goes. Kentucky Trunks.
That's the biggest I've ever seen on a lady.
I don't care.
Lady Balls.
So I guess this just came out.
We're trans age now, which provides Sheelix with a wonderful opportunity to relive all the experiences that she missed out on in school.
Streaming exclusively on Daily Wire Plus December 1st.
Did any of you guys play sports growing up? Have you heard about the controversy where, like, I guess men are coming and playing against women's sports?
I've seen it on like the internet.
Right, yeah. So I guess now they've made something to draw attention to it, obviously comedic style, but the verdict is out on that one. It's so nobody's heard of. I think in swimming they had it in the national championship. Kickboxing, they had like a dude come in and fight women in kickboxing. Let me see if I can find a few more. Maybe I just have to search this. Man in women sports. So it gets into obviously thoughts and opinions and what's going on with that. Should men be able to identify as a woman and play against women? That's the ultimate question. Is like they're allowing it in the NCAA, so I guess they would let it. I don't think Central State has a swimming team, but like swimming at University of Kentucky last year, I think it's probably going to be the first. There's quite a bit at this point. Oh, is that the swimming one? I think that. So what do you guys think? I do want honest opinions. No opinion is wrong either. Like I'm just literally up for discussion because this is, yeah, there it is on ABC News. So this one, they won the national title, and that was in the NCAA just about a year ago. Should men be allowed in women's sports? What do you guys think?
I think they should be able like to compete against each other.
Like they could have their own group where like you got men, women, transgender sports. And like I said, there's no wrong answer. Like I truly am just opening it for discussion because it's interesting. Well, yeah, here it is. So it's Leah Thomas. That is the woman who won everything. And she got gold. She smoked them. Like we're talking by like 5 lengths, if that's what they use in swimming. Got the gold medal. Still had the junk in the changing room. So that's a little bit.
I feel like it's only
Right.
in, like day-to-day life, like
Mhm.
it's a problem, but when you put it into like the competitive stuff, like that.
Because you have testosterone still,
Yeah,
like a lot
men
of it.
are still struggling with like regardless of the like they are men struggling.
Right.
And they just have, I'm not gonna say more, but like different strengths.
Yeah.
They're better at different things.
Yeah.
But for them to be on the same team, I feel like it's just like the
Right.
competition is unfair.
Right.
And
So-
in the changing room, it's like, even if somebody doesn't have a problem with that, it can still make them uncomfortable. So I think it's just-
Right. And this is, I bring this up because I know you had the diversity paper. I've kept it open if you guys still need extra time on that. But like, this is another topic in diversity, but apparently there was, I don't know if this will come up on a search because it's probably blocked. Have you heard of this movie also? It's called What is a Woman? And so this was made, I think it was last year. So I'll put this one out to kind of end, because this is a true, what do you call it when people go around asking questions, everybody, like a documentary or a dude interviewing lots of folks, medical doctors, people in the community. And he, one question.
What is a woman? Can you tell me that? Well, you're at the Women's March. You must have some idea. Please, if one person can tell me what a woman is.
You are not here for women. We ask you to leave.
What is that?
I'm a husband. I'm a father of four. I host a talk show. I give speeches. I write books. I like to make sense of things. A woman is not anything in particular.
There is not one particular thing.
It could be many things to many people.
Some women have penises, right? Some men have vaginas.
I like scented candles. I've watched Sex and the City.
Yeah,
How do I know if I'm a woman?
that's a great question.
You're not a scientist. You're not a gender studies major.
No,
How do you know that you're a man?
I guess because I got addicted.
Can a man become a woman?
I'm not a woman, so
So I think he traveled all over, asked counselors, psychologists, doctors. He even went to Africa and just said, like, simple question. You think, what is a woman? So getting the definition.
I can't really answer that.
Women only know what women are.
Are you a cat?
No,
Can you tell me what a cat is? You want to tell us what a woman is?
I'm a biological woman that medically transitioned to appear like a male. I will never be a man.
And so they go on the internet and they're told that all their problems will be solved if they become a man.
So you worry that there could be a sort of social contagion element to this?
A teeny tiny bit. It got me at 42. Your child doesn't have a chance.
And you're affirming it with hormones that have never been used in this way.
Puberty blockers, which are completely reversible. Completely reversible.
One of the drugs used is Lupron, right, which has actually been used to chemically castrate sex offenders.
You know what?
So have you guys heard of that? The hormone therapies. So you can take hormones to, I guess if I wanted to grow bigger breasts, I could take certain hormones. And then there's other ones. He said one is used in prison to chemically castrate sex offenders. So that's, again, another concern he raised to this counselor.
I'm not sure that we should continue with this interview.
You don't want to talk about the drugs that you give to kids, or
How can they be removing the healthy breasts of 15-year-old girls?
There are masculine girls. There are feminine boys. What are we gonna do about that? Carve them up?
How can this whole thing be happening, Matt?
I wanted us to have a safe place to be able to talk about this.
Part of me wants to ask why you care so much.
I care about the truth. I care about children. I care about the women who are having their opportunities stolen from them.
Is it transphobic to tell the truth?
The interview's over. Let's talk to Kelly.
Excuse me,
They're fair price. Wants to know what is a woman.
and we're not gonna find out.
Based on what I'm saying, would you ever want to move to America?
They say no, never.
So this is Right. It's a documentary. It's blocked on most sites. I think you do have to watch it on like Twitter. Or is that called X now? Is that now called X? And just asking what is a woman. So that's a good question. What makes a woman a woman? Here we go. A woman is an adult female human. Prior to adulthood, one is referred to as a girl, a female, child, or adolescent. Typically, women inherit a pair of X chromosomes, one from each parent, and are capable of pregnancy. That's on Wikipedia, and giving birth from puberty until menopause. I bet you this gets fought. You know how you can edit Wikipedia? I bet you people fight every day and change that back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So I don't know. Where did I miss one? Did you see?
I mean, basically, what I got from it was someone who can have a period and have kids, which is
Right. Which maybe that's where the chemicals come in, that they're starting to feed different chemicals. Like apparently there's a chemical that will allow me to lactate. I could feed my 10-month-old, but it seems so chemically dangerous. It's not going to be healthy for him. If you know what I mean. It's so, but that's a good question. I wonder where Google, an adult human female, transcon R dudes, can't ever be a woman. Sorry, dudes, that's something else. But I don't know what it says. I wonder if it's kept it semi. And then I don't know what this Daily Wire is. I guess is kind of like another news source that's come out recently. So anyway, getting into diversity, I could see where that could certainly be a way that folks are discriminated against, and it certainly is challenging and is making, well, here you go. Here's Merriam-Webster. The meaning of woman is an adult female person. So they kind of cut it off there. A woman who is extremely fond or devoted to something specified. I don't know. Merriam-Webster. Woman belonging to category by birth, residence. Have you guys heard of this documentary? So it's brand new. It came out. Well, yeah, you mostly have to watch it on this. I think you have to go here because it's blocked for sure on many, many sites. And I got to sign in now. Now I'm in big trouble. So that throws other diversity options into there. Oh, I think I missed it somehow. But anyway, that is, any questions about the diversity paper or your final? So you got your final exam up. You could do it now. It feels weird that we had 11 days off of class. Have you guys ever had 11 days off and then had to come back for the final 2 weeks? We just started doing it like a year and a half ago, if I remember correctly. So spring break was one, but our last weird spring break was March 17th, 2020. Did you guys all go on spring break and then never go back to school again? Were you in 8th grade or 9th grade? First year of high school? That's so weird. That's also a trauma. Like as we get into the last 2 chapters, we talk about seniors and traumas, just working with the folks that we do. And that was a trauma for a lot of folks. Like it really, I remember going, did any of you go visit your grandparents? They like stood in the glass door and you're like, hey, grandma, grandpa, and then you left. Or did you go hang out with them still? Like this COVID stuff is maybe overblown. What's that? Right, I know. I think we actually took it pretty serious. Like My dad had quadruple bypass surgery, so we tried not to get him sick. We stocked up on like every food and everything imaginable. And it's caused some recent inflation that has been concerning. So, has inflation slowed for anybody also? There it is. Okay, there's your diversity paper. And then the final self-assessment. So this is your final. We can go over it again. Is for real the last day of class on Thursday? Damn. That's so crazy. It just feels weird.
I think it's gonna be weird, like, yeah, we're going on break, but it's like the classes we have right now are over. So
They are. Yeah, so you have all new classes. Which ones did you sign up for? Any social work classes? Oh yeah, because you're a junior next year, so that's, you got to get moving on it, right? I'm sure you have plenty of time, but usually Nikita will set you perfectly straight because she's like good at her scheduling. She might be having a baby here in a minute. Did you know that? She just announced it to all her students. Nikita's having a baby. Yeah. Well, so you know when you're pregnant, a lot of people wait for 3 months to tell anybody because 90% of miscarriages are in the first 12 weeks. So like we'd wait to tell friends, even family sometimes. Like if you're not super close with your family and you don't want to, we had 2 miscarriages, so it sucks to be like, hey, I'm pregnant and now I've lost it. It's just like a hard deal. But I think in March she will. No, actually April. So she'll graduate with her doctorate and have a baby and be Dr. Nikita and maybe teach summer classes. Yeah. Oh, it just said new login from Chrome desktop to X. That's weird. It knows that I logged in. So yeah, this is your final. Again, it's just like a series of questions about what you want to do as a social work person. Who am I as a person? It's almost like the same question we just asked. What is a woman? But it's all these, how do I assess my developmental history up to this point in my life? Where are the high and low points? What are my 5 best qualities? What are 5 areas of my life I would like to improve? If an interview asked me my philosophy of life, what would I answer? You can write it in paragraph form or sentences. But just thinking about, are all 4 of you social workers, or do I have a chemistry major? I know. That must mean medical school. And then it's who am I as a professional? So you would ask these to yourself, knowing you want to become a social worker. If other people are biology, chemistry, they'll ask in that realm. So, and that's the gist of it. And we got lots of controversial movies that come out. Did anybody know this What is a Woman when it came out? Man and woman sports. Also, when you see this one stand up next to everybody, like in the lineup, there's like 6'1" compared to 5'7" and 5'6" and 5'5". Dude is like stacked, like set world records and shit. So it's like it's different. You know what I mean? It's like and it is legal. So like NCAA allowed it. I think the kickboxing also allowed it. I don't know where it's still legal, but there's lots of legislation being passed. Like Texas has a transgender law. College athletes only to play sports based on birth given gender. Iowa trans athlete speaks out against new law. They just want to be included. So yeah, this is, if you were having trouble with like the diversity paper, these are some ideas to throw out there with that. No opinion is wrong. Like I want you guys to speak freely and speak openly. I didn't know they had one from South Africa. Sometimes, and the description is called androgynous. So like you're androgynous if you can look like both a man and a woman. Like you have androgyny, where you kind of have both characteristics. It's sometimes hard to tell, and so North Carolina passed a bill. I think Ohio's passing a bill soon. They're calling. It's Lucia. All right. So anyway, any questions? Oh yeah, the bicycle one too. So there was a bicyclist who kicked some ass, like smoked every dude. How long? Oh, that's like 10 minutes. So they like smoked him on the bike. It was ridiculous. It was the Lance.
Show your daughter how much you love her with this beautiful gift. It says,
Rachel McKinnon is getting set to compete in one of the first races of the season. A small crowd of spectators has gathered just outside of Atlanta.
So I think she smoked him. But I do like that thought, maybe having a class of your own so you still can compete with folks who identify similarly. So nobody else played sports growing up, like soccer, basketball? I didn't in college, but I did in high school.
I wish my mom was like the type of mother, like, you know, like the things that force their kids to do.
Really? Right. I kind of was forced, you're right. Like I had to do something. I got cut from the soccer team. The 7th cut, there was 100 boys who tried out for our high school soccer team. Only 30 made it. 7 different cuts. And so I was the last cut and I went to cross country instead. And I love running now, so it worked out. Like I still run. I'm about to go run right now because we're ending 5 minutes early, unless if you guys have any questions. It's always good to end early.